Tuesday, and welcome back to another episode of MSLead Chronicles, where leaders learn from leaders. I'm Mary Morton, and along with my buddy Chad Fellers, we have casual talk about the challenges and successes in medical affairs with the most exciting and impactful professionals in pharma. As always, we have another great one for you today, so stick around.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of MSLead Chronicles. I am your host, Chad Fellers, along with my nifty sidekick, Mary C. Morton.
Oh, thank you.
How are you, Mary?
Cool.
Cool? That I don't think that's your middle name. Maybe many people don't know your middle name, and I'll let you choose to share it if you want. Okay, yeah. So she always knows that she's going to be in trouble when I call her by her full name. So just when I get to be the parent every once in a while. So Mary, it's so good to see you. How's your week been?
It's been good. As as you know, Chad and I both are dropping off children to college this week. So I just dropped off my baby. And so it's been a bit of an emotional week. And then yesterday was Nicole's birthday. And so Nicole always took her birthday off, usually to go lay by the pool or do something like that, but sometimes to volunteer. And so we decided to make forevermore, August 20th will be a Symbio holiday, and where everybody must do some sort of volunteerism. So I hung out with the Frisco crew yesterday and we volunteered together. And a couple of other people splintered off and did some other things, but so an emotional, meaningful week so far.
Well,
how about you?
Yeah, so let me comment on that here in a second. Yeah, it's been one of those. I dropped off my oldest on Monday. He's excited to be back to college. It's he'll be a junior, and basically all he needed was us to get his boxes up to his room, and then he was saying, "I'm good. See y'all here in a couple months, maybe." Not real sure. No, he's in his element. And then my daughter will be a freshman this year, and she's going up on Friday, and it will probably be 6 to 8 hours of unpacking or organizing or things, probably a different environment. So so far so good. But thanks so much for sharing that about Nicole, and I love what you're doing. As a Symbio team, finding purpose, right? And really controlling what you can control and giving. It's just an amazing power, right? It's something that nobody else can take away, that you can, that's rewarding and definitely can resonate and last and helps create a legacy. So quite honestly, that's a great teeing things up for our conversation today. Really, which is titled Beyond the Ladder. So finding purpose without promotion. And I can't wait to have this conversation with our special guest today. So why don't you tell our listeners who our guest is?
Absolutely. So our guest is Mitch D'Rozario. He's a PhD neurogeneticist by training. And I know you've been working on your Master's of Public Health. Is that done?
It's hopefully by the end of this year.
All right. Get that done by the end of the year. That's awesome. So Mitch is an MSL with Roche Genentech Roche. And interestingly, with an educational background in neurogenetics, your experience there hasn't even been working in neurogenetics, has it? It's been you've worked in ophthalmology, oncology, but Mitch is if you don't follow him on LinkedIn, by the way, you guys, you need to do that. We were just talking about it earlier. I love some of the things that he posts. But he has developed a really unique sort of skill set, like I was saying, aside from his educational background, and he has a knack for making data tell a story. He is a scientist, a data strategist, and a dad. He lives in Bloomington, Illinois, and apparently somebody you want on your trivia team. So we're going to start there. So you're out with your buddies playing pub trivia or whatever kind of trivia. What is Mitch's category?
What's my category?
Yeah, like everybody's like, oh, thank God Mitch is here because he can handle this category. Like I'm the music category. My son is the math category.
I'm really not good. I'm very good at anything that is post 2005 in the US.
So like literal trivia.
Literal trivia,
Anything.
like anything about pop culture. I know anything past 2005. Don't ask me about Seinfeld. I wouldn't know. Ask me about like post. I know most of it, right?
Wow, this is intriguing. Very intriguing.
That is my that is some of my strengths, but then also my weaknesses. So our team has age groups ranging from 85 to the mid 30s, and so that keeps our team very competitive.
Very fun. Well, you've got somebody clearly on that team that's going to be able to hit things before 2005, and today is the day I realize I'm old because 2005 doesn't seem that long ago. But you do the math; it's 20 years ago. So, all right. And of course, our listeners have come to expect this question. So it's not like a curveball question to people who know it's coming. So everybody wants to know, what is your walk-up song?
Oh.
And if you don't have one, what would it be?
Come on, you've got all this pop trivia since
I know.
2005. It's like,
think which one is the most appropriate one?
okay.
What's the least inappropriate one?
Least appropriate. Let the bodies hit the floor.
Ooh, I love that. Do you know that song?
I don't know, or maybe I do. You want to hum it or sing it for me?
Well,
That'd be great.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. You don't know that one? Who is that?
How
do I know that? See, I do know crazy. Let the bodies hit the floor. I like that.
It'll be stuck in your head now. For a little
it
while.
Always is.
I'm gonna have to actually download that song now on my playlist just so I can appreciate it a little bit more.
Good.
Have any of your guests picked that song yet?
No.
So it got to be unique as well.
Yeah.
Indeed, you are. Indeed, you are.
Yeah. One, nothing's wrong with this. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm sorry. I see the song. It's totally stuck in my head. Absolutely. Yes. That's a great one, man. And there's also a video. I'll send you a link to it of this. I think it's like an African gray parrot that sings the song. Have you ever seen that? Okay.
I have, yes.
All right. Sorry. Back on track.
You're good. I mean, we could have our own conversation around useless trivia and
that was not useless.
And well, I mean, a parrot. I mean, we're talking about a parrot. I mean, I guess I had to kind of smile and nod just so we could move on, Mary. But either way, no, it's good. Mitch, first again, welcome. Would love just. I think it'd be great just to share with our listeners a little bit about your story. So tell us about your story here within medical affairs.
Sure. I started training as a PhD bench scientist. And during my training, I was at WashU in St. Louis. My manager, my PI, decided to move labs to Oregon, and I was not going to move with her. So that led to, what do I do? Do I want to stay in academia, or do you want to go into industry? And I didn't know a lot about these roles that were available in medical affairs. This is maybe eight years ago. I don't think it was as popular or as known how to break in. Had a family friend that talked to me about it and broke into the role. Started off in a small biotech, moved over to Genentech within a year. And then as organizations go through changes, there were opportunities that presented themselves where I put my name in the hat while working in ophthalmology, put my name in malignant hematology. And it was a manager who took a risk on me and gave me that chance. Spent about 4 years there. And then came back to ophthalmology. And so it's all about kind of finding myself in different situations, learning from it, and then adapting and moving forward.
This is going to be a good conversation. I'm really, really excited about this. And
I want to hear his takeaways. Come on.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was getting there.
What are my takeaways?
Yeah. So what are your key takeaways that you want to make sure we learn or the listeners learn from today?
Two. One is access is different for different therapeutic areas, and that can make a world of difference for you as an MSL. And then second, the problems that you're facing in your therapeutic area may not be unique to that therapeutic area. So a lot of my learning has been going from ophthalmology to hematology and be like, hey, we did it in ophthalmology this way. Have you considered this? And then coming back from hematology to ophthalmology, I can say, hey, I know you guys do it this way, but hematology did it differently. Have you considered this? And so that's what probably keeps me unique, is that I can bring different perspectives in.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I didn't even consider that. The different therapeutic teams probably don't talk about quite as the different approaches to solving a problem or attacking a challenge.
We do, right? But context is important, right? So when you move between different therapeutic areas, you actually understand the context of the problem that they're facing, not just the problem itself.
All right, let's talk a little bit about your story. And I would love for the listeners to be able to hear an example or a story where you made sort of this lateral or flat structured move, and um, while it wasn't a move up, you still accomplished something really meaningful and found your purpose. So, can you give an example of that?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a great question. For me, I want to live where I live. And, and I think the ladder that you typically have for an MSL is you become an MSL, senior MSL, and then principal MSL if that's available. And sometimes you feel stuck, right? You feel stuck where you don't feel that you have other ways that you can provide value to your colleagues and the company. And that's where I was kind of feeling stuck. And one of the questions I was asking myself was that how can I, in my territory that I cover as an MSL, how can I find those hidden gems, those sites that are maybe overlooked or we haven't been partnering with for clinical trials? And the way that we were looking at the data, it was very data heavy. But given my background as a geneticist, there were ways that we can do that in genetics where we could actually look at genes and cells and find hidden meaning within them. And I was like, why can't I use the same algorithm I was using in my PhD here? And I did, and it worked really well. Um, and then I started showing it off to other people. I was like, hey, I built this tool. Would this be helpful for you? And while I was doing this, it was almost like it was spreading like wildfire because it would be one team that heard it and they were like, Mitch, this is really helpful. Have you met this other person? Or I would have random people trying to look at my slide deck that I had prepared. And then eventually, within a year, we were able to add 35 new sites across the nation. So not even in my territory, 35 new sites across the nation that we had not previously worked with. Um, it started being used in other therapeutic areas. So it started off in lymphoma, but then multiple myeloma wanted it as well. And then someone else wanted it as well. Um, and then actually I ended up getting a rotation role for a year in product development. And it was just amazing, Mary, because here I was, this MSL living in central Illinois, preparing slides that people higher up are using in their board of director meetings. And I was like, what am I doing here?
What
But
is this
how did I
world
even
I'm in? So, how long had you been an MSL for Genentech at that point?
that was 4 years in.
That is so cool. And
And
for you, you're thinking this is something I can just use to try to, build a better mousetrap for what I'm doing here, and then it just like spread like wildfire.
and it's about finding your purpose, finding your interest, like honing down on what are your core values, right? For me, values that I really appreciate are curiosity, learning, creativity, and finding innovation. So my first rotation within Genentech Roche was a rotation in digital health, because that is around the time of COVID. Digital health was kind of up and coming. And so I got that rotation opportunity. It was a 6 months role. It was great. I helped build the first ad board for digital health. So it was a lot of these like lateral moves that allowed me exposure, but then also allowed me to learn and then make mistakes and then learn from that as well.
That's interesting. I think sometimes people are afraid to make mistakes. They don't want to look dumb in front of leadership, but it's really a part of growing, right?
Really cool opportunities, Mitch. Just even talking about that. I mean, 4 years into that, it sounds like you had something that was really kind of driving you in these things. So I think just thinking about this in medical affairs, you talked about it, right? So the ladder for MSLs, for many organizations, it's what you discussed, right? From MSL to senior MSL, maybe principal, but then even after that, it could be, I guess, leadership type of roles or those types of things. Not everybody wants to do that, but then understanding like where other places to plug and play, and many organizations don't have those types of opportunities. And so what do you do with those and to find happiness? So I think about that in ways because I have a lot of people in the network that will reach out because they're ready to do something different, or they're ready to do, and it really is around a title. So knowing what you just said, titles don't always really reflect impact in medical affairs. So how did you learn to measure purpose beyond promotion, just for you? Like, what was it intrinsically that that made you have that? Is it something around a personal story, or is that just kind of always been how you've been wired?
That's a great question, Chad.
That's a really good question. I think I do fall into the trap of doom scrolling, right? LinkedIn, and seeing your friends who started at the same time, and you're like, oh, like they're a associate something, right? And you do, I think comparison is the thief of joy sometimes, right? And so kind of catching myself when I'm falling into that trap is really helpful. The other part also, like chat for me, like it's gonna sound, maybe it'll sound mundane, but like for me, like sometimes I look back, like I think giving that grace to yourself that you're doing well. Like I am making more money than my parents both have made in their lifetime, right? This is amazing, the role that I have, like the opportunities that I get, and the impact I can make, and then also setting up my kids for success in the future, right? Those are the things that I have to like kind of look back to. Um, but also, like, I think the joy I also get is from meeting other people from different functions, right? Like that cross-functional exchange is something that I really thrive on, right? So I mentioned being in medical affairs, it's almost like you're a T-shaped professional, right? Like you have the depth in medical, but then you're also spreading your wings around to learn from other places. So now I know, or I've learned for a year on product development.
Yeah.
From early stage to late stage. Um, and then maybe in the future I'll have opportunities in commercial and patient advocacy. And I'm always open to those opportunities where I can just learn from other people.
So do you ever like approach some of these things with the purpose of, I'm going to check this out and maybe this is something I want to do? Or are you just looking at kind of spreading out a little bit to provide enrichment to what you already are doing?
I think there's a level of strategy involved as well, right? Like you want to be strategic. You don't want to spread yourself out too thin. So I think so far in my career, I've um, been very purposeful in the changes that I make and the roles that I take up. Um, and it's to make myself a more complete professional in industry.
Gotcha.
So it's not really about how do I advance myself to the next level from a corporate ladder, but how do you be the best person that you can be in wherever it is that you are, right? Is what I'm hearing from that. I think
Exactly.
whether we admit it or not, career driven people always come to the point of identity crisis. And how do we ascribe value to the things that we do? Or I always try to remind myself that a job is not who I am, it's what I do. A position is not who I am, it's what I'm, what I've been provided for today. And but we all have to come to that kind of that place, and whether it's things from personal that really cause that shift, whether it's hard things that happen in careers that cause that shift, whether for right or wrong, they happen, right? So I think that's something we all come to. If you haven't come to it yet, those listeners, you will at some point. So how do you handle that? And so I think it's really great, Mitch, that you're thinking about it in the way of, okay, how can I really apply? It's thinking outside the box. It's instead of just thinking, and so often scientists tend to think in black and white versus shades of gray. And what I'm hearing is you're taking a bit from here, a bit from there to make more of a complete story. It's like putting together a tapestry, I guess, right? So you see on the back end, it looks like a mess potentially, but then when you turn it over, it's something that can be really a beautiful masterpiece.
And
So
then finding your voice as well, Chad, right? So sometimes in these cross-functional roles, why I like it is because then I'm the medical person that they reach out to, right? They're
that's
like, "Oh,
right.
you're the field medical expert. We wanted your voice, right? We wanted to hear, like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that, right? How would your colleagues react to this?" And when I find myself in those cross-functional places, I think it's easier to find your voice and become the expert. The other thing, Chad, that really resonated with me, what you just said, is I just recently lost my dad, and I was his caregiver, and he lived with us, right? Like, so it's kind of hard because now in my house it's empty when the kids are gone to
Yeah.
school. Like before there was someone there, and now it's completely empty, right? So like, um, but then the hardest part for me was actually writing his eulogy, and um, what was hard about it was because compared to an obituary, an eulogy is more of the impact you had for people around you rather than your accomplishments. And so the question I've been asking myself recently for the last month is, and then his funeral was beautiful. Like, he had like 250 people that came in, and
Mm.
I could probably barely have like 4 people come to my funeral, just because of where I live, right? And most of my colleagues are remote, right? Um, but like 200 people, 250 people that came in, and the question I've been asking myself is, who's going to give my eulogy, and what are they going to say?
Mm.
And so the people closest to me are the ones who are going to be giving the eulogy. So how do I build that, maintain that relationship and grow that relationship is really important. And and then what are they going to say is so much more different than what I would post on my LinkedIn profile,
Mm.
right? So that the virtues that you would use in your eulogies are so much more different than the virtues you would put in your resume.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. That's something that I've been thinking a lot about for the last month, and thinking of like what kind of impact you want to leave behind as well.
Mitch, that you would share that means a lot. I think we probably have more of a connection than what you would realize when it comes to those things, that personal things that will really shape and impact trajectories in ways. So thank you first for sharing that. You're also finding what I'm hearing too. You're finding hope in the hard as well too, right? With that, that, and you're not filling your time with just empty stuff as well too. You're trying to be intentional and making an impact in others, right? I mean, and it's okay to be selfish in that way, right? And I think about the whole idea about servant leadership, which is something I've just ascribed to for probably the past 5 or 6 years, really leaned into. Is it selfish? Yes. I mean, I want to see other people grow and things like that. It's okay to be selfish in that way, because if you're really, the ultimate goal is to help others, and provide value to them. I mean, what a better, I don't think there's a better thing to really kind of, to prioritize. But yeah, these things certainly shape, kind of what defines us, kind of what I mentioned earlier, right? I mean, what am I defined by? Is it by how I act, or is it by the position that I hold? And those are two different thought processes as well too. But I hear intentionality from you as well too, like in the things that you want to do now. And that just kind of reaffirms the trajectory that you were already on, but definitely drives more purpose.
I think purpose is something that I think about, and then also just giving myself grace. So now, with that context in mind, if my kids and my kids are in kindergarten and first grade, so they're very young. But like if my kid comes into the background of my camera and is like raising his hand from the side, I'm talking to like the vice president of like a department. Before it would be embarrassment, it would be frustration. I'm feeling of embarrassment, feeling of frustration, and I'm like, you know what? Like, who's going to be at the eulogy? It's the kid right beside me, right? And what can I what memories is he going to have of me? Is it a father who's frustrated, or feeling frustrated and asking him to leave, or is it going to be a father who just accepts that he's a child and is going to be present for him? And so I think those have been changes that have happened recently. And I think that also goes into my career as well, right? Like, am I showing up and working on things that I feel passionate about? And if I am feeling stuck, where can I find those moments of joy, that I bring to myself and others? Um, and if it comes with a career move, yes, I take that. It's a double whammy, right?
So that really leads into one of the questions I think that we were gonna. I was thinking through is, what advice you would give to someone who feels stuck in a flat organization, but still wants to lead or innovate. Like, you alluded to that, but even if we're getting more practical, in your experiences, what are ways that someone could follow that route?
Ask yourself if this is the right season or not.
What do you mean by that? By season?
I think sometimes people, what you're feeling in the moment, in the grand scheme of things, might just be a small moment compared to the rest of your career. So there have been moments where I felt, oh, I need to like move on. I need to this is like 2 years is enough. I have to do this, right? I have to do that. And I think about it and I'm like, well, a normal career could be about 30 years. Is that 2 year or even a deferment? Like, if it's deferred, an opportunity is deferred by a year or two, does that make a big difference in the longer trajectory? It's the same way how I feel about applying for jobs, Mary, right? Uh, um, Early stages of my career, I would get frustrated. I would feel like frustrated, defeated. I wanted this role and I didn't get it, right? And I think I've started to see that a lot of times rejections are redirection. And so that's probably what I would say. You probably have a lot of like aspiring MSLs that are listening to this as well, and they're probably getting frustrated and defeated. They're feeling defeated about jobs and applying for jobs. I mean, I applied. When I was trying to break into this role, I reached out to 130 people on LinkedIn. Not all of them responded back, and I think that's something that you have to like think about. It's a lot of these opportunities are a numbers game. The more you apply, the better your chances are going to be.
And I think it also is one of the, yes. And it's also, I think, asking the question of why am I wanting to move on? Like, what is it within my current role that I'm not getting, that would bring fulfillment? And sometimes there's things that are out of your control, but sometimes there are some things that are within your control that you could still make it a much more enjoyable experience as well too, right? So it doesn't always, and I'm guilty of that. If you look at my resume, I've held several different positions over my 25 years, but I can all see how they've connected with one another. But it's hard to see that in the moment as well too, right? So sometimes looking back and seeing why things happened the way that they did or didn't happen the way they did, and so it's trusting those things, and then it's controlling what you can control. And so how do you are you intentional in taking a step back and asking yourself those questions before assuming it's everybody else that's having the challenge and it's not your own, right? So that's what I'm hearing that you are being very intentional with when you're thinking about trying to be as well-rounded as possible for the role that you're currently in, and not being defined by just a title as well too.
Well, I was kind of taking some of what he was saying. I was thinking about, because I had to find a pen that would write, first of all, so I could write down comparison is a thief of joy, because I really love that.
It's good.
But, taking that and then talking about maybe it's not the right season for you, is that there's, sometimes there's a lot of these outside influences that are telling you this is the season for you and you need to go do this. Or you're looking at, well, other people are doing this, so I should be doing that too. But just remembering that it's each person's own journey and it's each person's own purpose, to go back to what you're saying. And you have to be true to yourself and true to your purpose and to the things that make you feel good about what you're doing. When you were talking earlier about seeing the value that you're bringing to these other departments, and they're asking, these other cross-functional partners are asking for your input on things. The one thing I didn't hear you say is, and I also got this, and they also gave you this. And I don't know if the listeners picked up on that, but I did, because that to me, it is selfless, but also selfish, because you feel that purpose, because you are contributing and bringing value to somebody else, which is why you guys move into this field anyway, right?
I mean, the selfish part of it is I am seen as an expert, right? So
And it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like you
this
have a purpose.
acknowledgement is great, right? Like those are great to have. I think, as I mentioned before, I'm a very curious learner, right? I like to learn about different things that are beyond my expertise, and these are opportunities that present themselves where I'm like this is in a normal, like, hierarchical organization, I would have never gotten those opportunities if I didn't reach out and ask for it.
That's a great point. You can't just you can't just always just sit there and expect that these opportunities for growth and expansion of your skills and abilities are just going to come and tap you on the shoulder, because it's just
Mhm.
you have to go out and seek it.
If your purpose is grounded as well too in the right things, when you reach out to those other parts of the company or those types of things and you get told no, right? It's less personal as well too. And things like, I don't get my feelings hurt if I know, if I'm confident in the things that I'm doing, the ways that I'm serving, and I can trust that um, I'm exactly where I need to be, and I'm doing the things I need to do. Those things start to fall or roll off on me a lot easier than it does when I'm trying to prove myself, right, to others. So, I think going back to this too, I think the urge to do something different, we're guilty of, instant gratification, social media, all these different things, right? Instant success. Everything's at the tip of our fingers when we just reach out, or we don't even have to use our fingers anymore, right? I mean, we can just we can use our voice to to do a search now. I mean, all those types of things. And so we become very impatient versus trusting the process. We don't want to think for ourselves as well, too, right? We'd rather have somebody lay it out for us. So just being critical and intentional to do self-assessments. That's what I'm hearing you say as well, too, is to really see where you are and where there are opportunities for you to continue to grow in where you're planted, if you will.
I think the other thing is the power of coaching, right? And it's almost like I feel like strong professionals are like athletes, right? You are constantly honing your skills, getting better at what you do. And then you also need people to tell you your blind spots. Um, and so I think I've had great coaches that have also kind of had my back and given me feedback, sometimes that are hard to hear. But then that has made me stronger, right? In how I show up.
So when you say coaches, I mean, because some people have professional business coaches and things like that. Are you speaking more informally, like sort of
Informally.
like an accountability partner kind of a person, and that you've
Informally.
given them full license? No judgment. You tell me whatever you want about my blind spots, for example.
I have great friends who are my coaches that are there to call out how I show up. And
We all need those.
yes, and it's a blessing to have that. Um, and sometimes people will ask you to be their person to point those blind spots out, right? But I've been very blessed with some of the people that I have, I have colleagues that I work with, as well as mentors, right? Like having that mentorship, the coaching, and again, that comes back to why I like to broaden my scope of sphere of expertise. I have found mentors not in my functions, but outside who can give me a different perspective that I might be missing.
Chad's he's kind of
Yeah,
my coach.
I'm just thinking.
He
I'm
definitely
your
holds me accountable.
coach. I'm your
Well,
coach.
Well, I mean, and like what he's talking about.
I think she said
Oh,
friend, but
Friend too. Like I don't pay you to be my friend or my coach.
I'm
Not
still
too
waiting on
much.
the check. I mean, I've sent you my address multiple
No,
times. I
but
guess you'd
you
rather.
tell me about my blind spots.
Yeah, I think we.
Yeah,
I think we.
you
I
hold
think
my feet
it's
to the fire.
reciprocal. I think it's reciprocal.
Yes, that's true.
So, okay, we've talked a lot about purpose, Mitch. So let's get more practical at this. So, what role does purpose play in your day-to-day work? So, and what I mean by that is, how do you anchor yourself in that when things feel a bit more transactional, if you will?
it's not constant. It's not constantly on my mind about what the purpose is. I think it also depends on the seasons of my life as well. So I think right now I'm going through a season, right, where um, grief is coming in waves, and it's a process, and that is allowing me to kind of self-reflect a lot more. Um, so what role does purpose play? I think purpose plays a big role for me. Like my values play a role. What are my core values? What are my core values that I hold for myself, for my children, for my family, and then for my work? I don't think it's a constant though, um, but it does come in different cycles.
Oh,
Does that answer your question?
yeah. I think what you're saying is purpose. I mean, purpose is always there. I think sometimes it becomes more to it comes to the forefront of more of a focus. It's more top of mind, I think, than where it is. Sometimes it doesn't have to be as prominent, right? Because you're continuing to deal and navigate with other things, or it's just more of a normal cadence. Sometimes I think these purpose questions come a lot of times where things are either going awry, there's frustration that may come, all those types of things as well too. So yeah, so different factors drive and bring it to the forefront. It's always there, but sometimes again, it's some of these factors, like you just mentioned earlier, whether it's personal or whether it's things that are going on with your team or whatnot, that kind of make you have to take a step back and really refocus in ways to. Is that what I heard from you?
No, I agree with you. I think what I'm hearing is purpose is always there, but the values reorient or reprioritize depending on where the situation is, right?
Yeah.
So company might go through restructuring. Then you kind of think about what are your values and how are they getting reprioritized. Um, the values that I held as a high school student is so much different than the values that I hold now, right, as a parent. And I think it'll change as when I become a parent of a child that's going to college. I think the values are going to be different. But then the purpose is always going to be there because it's all anchored in the values. The values would then
Yeah.
reprioritize.
I mean, I can't. I mean, I'm just trying to think about years from now when I get close to where Mary's age is right now. I mean, that's what my purpose and sense is gonna be. Wow, that's an evil look, Mary.
I mean, Mary started her career when she was 5 years old. I
Oh,
don't know.
stop! I've given
I
her
was a
that
prodigy
compliment
at
before.
5. I already knew how
Yes.
to
It was either
work a phone.
piano or recruiting. I'm gonna pick recruiting. There's competition there.
Oh
Yes.
goodness. Great. No, in all seriousness, that yes, as the different phases of life, different aspects are seen. We start seeing different colors and those types of things, and different views that we didn't have prior. I can certainly agree with you about high school. The difference between high school and where I am now, that was a few years ago. So,
Yeah, it was back before you had gray hair.
yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I've been
But
rocking this for a few years.
you know what? One of the beauty of this as well, this career, this MSL role, is that you get to work with people from all different backgrounds and age groups as well, right? So, I have colleagues who are at the end of retirement, and the discussions I have is so meaningful because they have a different perspective of what they've done, and it's so much more different than maybe where I am, right? And just that perspective sometimes helps ground you as well. So if there's an MSL who feels like kind of stuck, right? Like talk to other MSLs because they'll give you some other perspectives that are always helpful.
Yeah, the process or proficiency in processes is one thing, but then being able to experience is another as well too, and understanding the personal component of, well, like how do we pull things through versus how do I ask Copilot or ChatGPT to identify routing or those types of things, right? So that there's still the human element that's got to be there, and I think that's really where you can leverage those that have been in this journey a little bit longer than I have. That's how I continue to learn from others as well. So, or just one of the ways, rather,
I think
of learning.
authentic self is so important in this world of AI. I think the people who can harness the power of AI, but then also be their authentic self and not be found as using AI are the ones that have the leverage.
Yeah, or augmented intelligence versus artificial intelligence, right? I think that's one of the things that always stands out to me. So this is good. This has been really good, Mitch. I think as we're getting close to wrapping up our time, maybe just a couple more questions. So how do you talked about coaching, you talked about informal or formal. So I would ask you, so how would you or how do you coach others, especially high performers, through this type of I guess maybe you would call it discomfort of non-linear growth?
Ooh, Chad, I should be asking you that question. I don't coach anyone. I'm still being coached. Um, I think for me, it's One of the advice that someone gave me is like when you're in a situation, it's so natural for us to be very critical of ourselves because we know our own weaknesses, right? So the first part is, how would you kind of coach a friend who's going through the same thing as you? I think that the answer is going to be very different from how you tell yourself the story.
Mm,
And then the other thing that has been really effective for me is, you've heard about strength finders, right? Where you find your strengths and you harness that. You have 5 strengths and you keep on developing it, right? You've heard about like the Myers-Briggs, where you
yep.
have the personality types that you have, the Enneagrams, which is the personality types, and like kind of the weaknesses and the strengths that you have. The one that I did recently, and that was really helpful, was called a working genius. And so the working genius is in a project management process. They have identified seven different characteristics,
Okay.
and those are, and you pick 2, and in the process, those are your strengths. So the first one is called, and it spells out widget, WIDGET. That's how I remember it. So W is wonder. So these are people who like to brainstorm ideas, like a lot of brainstorming, right? These are people who enjoy and gain a lot of energy and joy out of that. Second is innovate. People who like to create, like take that brainstorming idea and then create something, innovate
Yeah.
a solution. D is discernment. These are people like your colleagues who would then like poke holes in it and tell you why it's not going to work. G is galvanizing. So these are people who have that charisma to like get everyone, like be on stage and get everyone riled up behind that idea. E is enablement. So once you have that idea, like taking it through to the process, having everyone kind of exposed to it. And then the final one is tenacity, which is kind of closing out the project. And so when I go through this process, Chad, like where does your mind go? What are the 2 things that come to you as your working genius?
Ooh. I think the WI are
WI.
probably kind of where I would go. What do you think, Mary? You're a good
Mary, what's
assessment of
yours?
me. Or
Oh,
yeah, what's yours? And then what do you think that was accurate?
Okay, so like I wrote it down as well as I could. I hate to say it because I feel like it's a negative one, but I think discernment is, because I feel like I call myself like a doomsday prepper. Like I look for all the things that could go wrong because I want to try to prepare to prevent them or to. So I feel it's a kind of a negative one, but I got to be honest with myself and say, yeah, I think that one's me. And then probably galvanizing.
okay. So for me, it's innovate and discernment. And discernment, Mary, is not a negative thing because it's fail proofing an idea, right?
That's
Making
better.
sure that we're not gonna go get derailed, right? Making sure that even for a podcast, that everything is in place and you have like all of the things that you need. Um, and so, but then that's where I get the most energy out of. Where I don't maybe get a lot of energy out of is maybe brainstorming, right? Like that takes up a lot of energy out of me. I can still do it, but it'll take a lot of energy out of me. I may not be the best galvanizer, but I'll get it done, right? But it'll take a lot of energy out of me. So in those cases, I need to find people who can galvanize, people who can brainstorm, and then we also need someone who can kind of pull it through at the end, right? That enjoy kind of like having spreadsheets and tracking and trackers and all of those things, right?
Definitely.
Um, and
I
so that
love
was like the
that.
big unlock for me, which was, I was like this is what I needed. No wonder I don't enjoy brainstorming. And no wonder that is not my favorite thing, because that's not where I get my joy out of, right? But once you have an idea, I'll build something for you.
So how are you gonna leverage this is good. I really want to take this test now too, to think of what I think of me, what I think I am is what the test actually shows. Then I'll just prove that the test is wrong if I don't think it lines up with the things. No,
You
in all
brainstorm
seriousness,
new ideas, right?
that's right.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
And build a
how
new one.
how are you going to leverage how do you think you'll leverage this for your role or for your conversations with your boss or that, right?
I've already started doing that, where I am very upfront about here are the places where I get a lot of joy. But depending on what your project is, you'll need me in different places. Um, I'll get it done, but here's where my strengths are. Or I could be like, who on your team can I reach out to for the brainstorming part? Who on your team can I reach out for the tenacity part? Because those are things that we need. Um, and maybe those are the skill sets we want to bring into the team. So do we already have people on the team who enjoy doing spreadsheets and would be able to partner up with me? Knowing that they don't have to do any of the innovation or the discernment part. They'll be doing what they enjoy the most. It's almost like
So this
building a
is
Lego set.
Yeah, so this is almost the process of knowing who you are and really knowing who you aren't as well
Yeah.
too, and then being vulnerable enough to actually have those conversations with with your teammates, with your boss, those types of things. I think that like there is this notion that people are afraid to share that they can't do it all, or that they won't if they're asked to do a project. Of course, the answer is going to be yes, but not fully understanding the impact that it may have on how much energy you put into, right? Like if you're going to ask me to put together formulas on an Excel spreadsheet or those types of things, it would take me 6 to 8 hours, probably at least, on something that would take someone else maybe 30 minutes. It's just
Yep.
not how I'm wired. And so I can do it and I can but what you're saying is to be able to take that information and say, okay, I'm happy to do this for you, or happy to take this on, understand with that it's going to take me this amount to be able to pull this through this particular component of it. Is there a way, or what are your thoughts about engaging so and so to help support this to where I can really leverage and continue to do this? I see that as a way that will actually be embraced by those that you're around, versus being a chance of being frustrated if there's some type of lack of pull through, or the time it takes. It doesn't. There's unset expectations, right? So I think it's really a fascinating concept as well that really yields efficiency, quite honestly.
And as a leader, it's easier for you to make a decision when you've been asked what is needed, right? For resourcing purposes and just task management, right? When someone has a directed ask for you, where they're asking you for this particular help, rather than I need help with the whole project. But what are you gonna do as a leader? Like, or if a project is not moving as fast as it should, I think as a leader, if someone tells you here is the gap that we have and here's where we need the help, I think that's better to even get your buy-in as a leader, right?
Oh yeah.
And make the right resource allocation for that. So it's just helped me in terms of how I partner up with people. It also reduces my frustration because I know what their strengths are, right? And
Yeah.
if I feel like in a process where we've already had the solution, but then we're going back to brainstorming, I could call it out, be like, hey, we already did the brainstorming. Do we need to go back? Because then maybe I don't need to put the effort in. You guys could meet and then let me know what you want.
Yeah, and it totally all comes back to purpose. And I love the way the way you framed some of it. It's around finding your joy. And I think your joy translates to purpose. And I think the other word that came to mind was liberating, because it's liberating to say, I need to, I should be finding joy in what I do. And that leads me to my purpose. And I don't have to do it all. I don't have to do it all. In fact, it's better if I don't do it all, because those are not all my strengths. And, I don't, this has been such a great talk. I honestly did not expect to have such a visceral, emotional sort of connection to the topic that I have. But I mean, I think it is liberating.
Mitch,
welcome.
thank you. Thank you for.
I'm glad that you had such low expectations of me, Mary.
That's not what I meant. That is not what I meant.
Self-deprecating humor. I love it. That's one of my specialties. Well, Mitch, as we wrap up today, any final thoughts you want to share with our listeners?
Thanks for the opportunity. I had a fun time chatting with both of you. And thanks for this discussion. I really liked the genuine, like authentic discussion, the conversation we had. Anyone who's listening, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Send me a message, and hopefully you can come to my funeral.
Well, when that day comes, Mitch, just hoping that doesn't come any day soon. Let's hope, because I think there's so much more that you are going to be able to offer to those around you, and then even those that are within your network, whether they're linked directly right now or they're to come. So thanks again for your transparency, sharing your story, sharing what drives you, how you find purpose. And I think that's a challenge to the listeners where do you find purpose? And a true assessment of that. And is your purpose in the right things as well too? And, or do your actions reflect where your purpose is? So thanks, Mitch, again for joining us. Listeners, thanks so much for hopping on to another casual conversation here at MSLead Chronicles, where leaders learn from leaders. Remember, leaders don't develop in isolation. So continue the conversation with those around you. Be vulnerable, lead well, and we will see you next time.